Ladies and gentlemen, Season 3 of Modern Warfare is here.
Simon,
Price,
can you talk?
I can listen.
Zakhaev's plan is working. The armistice in Verdansk is officially fallen. It's bloody chaos.
Tell me something I don't know.
I got a fire team. Operators inbound hot to your position.
They better be good.
They are.
Echo 3-1, reporting for duty.
Alex, thought you were dead.
Still standing.
You ready for a gunfight?
Let's get evil.
So that is the opening cutscene for Season 3, and honestly, it leaves me with a bunch more questions than answers about Alex. We once again know he's alive. We also are aware that Ghost, or Simon Riley, knew who he was before this situation because he recognized him right away. But that's not what today's video is about. We'll definitely make a video in the future talking about that, so if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. In fact, I was just checking out some analytics, and I saw that 86% of people who are watching my videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you like what you see here and want to be updated on all of my videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to stay up to date on everything I post on this channel. Now, what today's video is about the Season 3 update that came out last night. It came out at 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so just translate that to whatever time that is in your time zone. And it was a relatively big patch. It was just over 11 gigs on PS4, and in today's video, we're going to go over everything that changed in this update in every game mode, whether you're into Warzone, multiplayer, or anything in between. So to start out, the first thing you're going to notice is that the background in both multiplayer and Warzone is now different. It appears as though we are on top of the dam on the Warzone map, but the other thing that they've changed in Warzone is Trios is just straight up gone. There is no longer a Trios playlist. It has been replaced with quads. No trios whatsoever. Now, this is a little bit strange because if you play as a duo now, you're kind of screwed because it's very difficult to win as two people in a four-man party lobby, and you can't play trios. There is no duo, so I don't exactly know what they're doing here. If quads will be a forever playlist, whether it's going to be replaced again with trios, what's going to happen here, but personally, I'm pretty happy with it because in the past, when I played Battle Royales, it has been with 4 people. Speaking of which, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing tonight, and pretty much every night, and I actually live stream it over on Twitch. So if you've never checked out my live stream, it's the first link down in the description, and I'm actually changing up my schedule a bit. I'm going to be streaming every night, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from now on. So if you ever want to check out a stream, it's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just convert that to your local time, and that is when I'm normally going to be streaming from now on. Now, there are some other little things that changed in Warzone, but the biggest one is the weapons that drop out of loot boxes and that are on grounds. There is now many more weapons. I've found M4s, I've found various versions of Dragunovs, I've found Odins, I've found AX50s, I've found HDRs. There are a lot of loot weapons now, which is probably the way it should have been at launch, but you're going to find a much more wide variety of weapons, and on top of that, a much more diverse rarity of weapons that are, of course, different weapon blueprints in the game as well. It seems like they're trying to kind of show some of the weapon blueprints off from the season, so you'll find lots of those as well. You're going to notice that right away, and I must say it's a very welcome change. It's much better now that you can find more weapons. Now, as far as these little changes, most of them I'm not going to cover in this video because they're just little bug fixes. If you want to check out the patch notes, as always, they are linked down in the description, but there are 2 that I did want to cover. The first of which is that we now tell you how far you are from your teammates while in match. So basically, if you're far away from your teammates in game, you can look at them and it'll show you exactly how far away they are from you. So you can tell if they're getting closer, if they're getting further away, how far they are. This is a good and I think welcome change. It's not a big deal, but it's just a nice quality of life change. The second one is they've kind of fixed the hitboxes of some vehicles. Basically, if you were driving around some vehicles before, you didn't actually have to hit someone to actually kill them. Now that is fixed, you should be able to kind of more easily evade vehicles, and it'll be a little bit more difficult to hit people while in vehicles. This is good because we saw some pretty ridiculous stuff out of this. Now, there are some other big changes as well. First of all, there was a problem where you couldn't self-revive in solos. That is now fixed. On top of that, they increased the loadout drop price to $10,000. So when the game started out, it was $6,000. Now it is $10,000, vastly more expensive, which I think does kind of make sense when you're playing in quads, but when you're playing in solos, it's pretty difficult to come up with $10,000. So it's going to be interesting to see how that actually plays out. After this, they also removed the blood splatter and screen shake when being punched in the gulag waiting area. So now, while you're waiting to go into the gulag, you won't feel like you're being turned into ketchup. They also fixed a couple of ending circles that occur out of bounds or in undesirable areas, in other words, on top of stadium. And as far as Warzone goes, that is pretty much it. Now, we also have some changes in the menus as well. First off, we have a new thing called streamer mode, and essentially what this does is hides everyone's name in the lobby. This is to prevent, first of all, knowing who people are, and second of all, it prevents people from being able to see some pretty inappropriate names that people can put as their names for some reason. Also, on top of that, there are now vehicle skins that you can set. You kind of set them the same way you would a watch or any other item like that in game. You can choose exactly how your vehicles look, and there are some pretty cool skins available. And then finally, they did it. The biggest addition ever to a Call of Duty game. They made a button that you can press that will just clear all of the green dots in the menu. Poof, just like that, they're all gone. Next up, moving over to the multiplayer side of things. First off, there are 3 new maps added in the game for free. So as long as you have the game, you have these maps. The first of which is Backlot from, obviously, Call of Duty 4. And this one is literally just remastered. It's almost the exact same map. There are a couple of changes, though. First of all, there is a parking lot added behind one of the buildings that you can actually look out from the building and overlook through a window, or you can go into the building through that way. On top of that, the basement area in one of the construction buildings was completely removed, and nothing is now in its place. Now, as far as how this map actually plays, quite honestly, it feels a little bit more campy than it did in Call of Duty 4. I think that's because of some of the lines of sight you can see from second-story windows, but besides that, it's probably my favorite map out of the ones that they've added with Season 3. I think it probably flows the best, works the best, and what can I say? I just love this map in Call of Duty 4. The second map is Sawmill. I'm just going to be honest, I do not like this map. It is relatively small compared to the other maps, but there are once again just a lot of windows and a lot of camping areas in various parts of the map. I don't know why this map just didn't quite agree with me. And then the final map is, once again, a Nia Palace, but this time smaller. Basically, they just shrunk it down so it's the middle palace area. And what can I say? This map is still too big for 6v6. I think they could even shrunk it down even more, and it would still work in 6v6, but they went with this, and maybe it'll be a good 10v10 map, but as far as 6v6, I simply think it's a little bit too big. As far as the playlists go this week, we have Realism Mosh Pit, which we've seen before, Deathmatch Domination, which I believe we've seen before, but that's a combination of Deathmatch and Domination, pretty obvious there. And then finally, we have Season 3 Mosh Pit, which is a combination of various game modes on the 3 new maps that we just talked about. Now, on top of all of that, we have our normal Season 3 reset things. For example, your level goes back to 55 if you were level 155. On top of that, there are new officer ranks and challenges. Similarly, new missions and challenges that were unlocked in Season 3 as well. Also, every season they add additional trials, and as you're seeing here, there's a whole list of new Season 3 trials that were added this season. There were a couple balancing changes added in this patch for shotguns. First of all, they tightened the pellet spread for the Slug 6R mags for the Model 680, and on top of that, they also decreased the aim down sight spread for slugs for all shotguns in general. On top of this, they tightened up the hip spread on the VLK Rogue shotgun. I still don't think that's enough of a buff or even a buff whatsoever for the VLK, but they did it. And then finally, the last thing that they did is for all Akimbo weapons, you now start with 2 extra magazines of ammunition instead of 1, so a little bit of a buff to Akimbo weapons. Moving into the microtransaction side of things, I made a video earlier today talking a little bit more in depth about this, so if you want to check that out, I will link that down below as well. But we'll just go over the big points. First of all, Alex was added in the battle pass. There's a couple different skins you can unlock for him. You actually get him right away when you buy the battle pass, so that's earned really easily. On top of that, Double D Mara was added in.
Dude, that's not her name.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't say that.
That's not her name?
It's kind of inappropriate, man.
Okay, well, a new skin of Mara was added in, and, well, you can look at it for yourself. On top of this, there were a bunch of skins added as military simulation skins, and basically these are various militaries from around the world added in with their various different skins, and you unlock those for the various default characters that you can use throughout the game. And honestly, they look pretty realistic and pretty damn cool, so I think they did a pretty good job with that, and they are all unlocked through the battle pass, so all pretty cool. On top of that, 2 new weapons were added in. First off, a new pistol called the Renetti. This one can basically be made into the Rafficas with 3-round burst and a Kimbo if you really want to. Also, the SKS, a semi-automatic marksman rifle, pretty much most similar to the Dragunov and the Val. It's essentially a mix of the 2 weapons. And on top of that, a bunch more store items were added in. The one thing that we know is coming that is still not in the game at the launch of Season 3 is the OG Ghost skin. We saw this in some promotional material. I don't know when it's actually coming, but the skin looks pretty cool, so hopefully it's added soon. But ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much the entire wrap-up of Season 3. Everything you need to know about it, the entire patch in one video. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, it is much appreciated if you do hit that like button. It does really help out the channel. Also, let me know what you think of Season 3 down in the comments. And as I said earlier in the video, if you enjoy what you see here, you like to stay up to date on everything Call of Duty, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn notifications on. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard, and I want